Hello. Let's talk about death, grief, and non-duality. Before we start, I just want to say that you should only watch this video if you have done the awakening curriculum or if you are on the awakening path. So the reason I would like to make this video right now is that my wonderful, wonderful sister, she passed away on Monday, and it made me, a lot of people here on the channel and in our community have reached out, and thank you so much for all your support. You're so wonderful and kind. It made me think that there's such a big difference in the way that grief and death is experienced when there's no thoughts identifying anymore. Obviously thoughts still happen, but there's not any identification with it anymore. So it doesn't mean that I haven't felt grief and that I haven't mourned and I haven't cried. Of course I have. But there haven't been any identification with it, and there has not been any stories created about it. And that's what I would like to talk about. So when you're on the awakening path, when we work with the first fetter, is realizing that there's no connection between thoughts and reality. That a lot of things that we experience actually happens in the body. So we have a sensory experience in the body, and there's a signal given to the mind, and a thought is happening. And that thought provokes a new sensory experience that is giving a new thought. And then we have that feedback loop that is happening. And before you see through self, that is basically your life. You have a sensation in the body, you have a thought, you believe the thought, that creates a new sensation in the body, and you are, completely locked into fear, anger, guilt, and shame, locked into old stories. You're not here and present in the moment. So what we work with on the awakening path and in the awakening curriculum is to see, really truly see, that mental formations that are created are just that. It's just mental formations. They hold no truth. Thoughts do not take up any space. They're not real at all. They're based on biochemistry in the moment. They're based on your psychological stability, your emotional maturity, and all of that is based on your genetics and your environment and the interaction between the two. So all of it is causes and conditions. And that is what makes it easy to be in the world, and where the freedom happens when you experience that the identification with thoughts fall away. What you're left with is sensory experiences in the body. And that is what we work with in all the lower fives. It's really looking through and acknowledging what is actually happening in this moment right now. What is actually here right now. Not what I think is here, but what is actually here. And when my sister got her diagnosis, I just want to start by saying she was a very positive person. She was a very, she loved life, and she was, very bubbly, authentic, kind person. So she didn't see her diagnosis as a death sentence. She saw it as another obstacle of life, another thing that happens. And her access point was of that all the time. Okay, so these are the cards right now. How can I deal with this? And that in itself is a huge thing. For a lot of people that get a diagnosis, for example, of cancer, they tend to believe that they're now more dying than anyone else. So obviously we had a lot of talks about just being in the moment, that there is nothing right now other than what is right here. And right now in your moment, and you can close your eyes and feel into this right now. In this moment right now, no matter what diagnosis you have, you're not more dying than the rest of us. Whatever is arising right now, it is what is right now. So I'm not talking about what thoughts occur in the moment, because the thoughts are not here. Any thoughts you have about concern about the future, oh goodness, what is going to happen next, all of that. Any thought is always about something. And that about removes you from the moment, from where you are actually living your life, and into a thought, a mental formation about something that is not here at all. So what we do with the awakening is to get back to the moment, back to where we are right now, and stay here. And every time she went and had another biopsy, and her cancer had spread and it had metastasized, and it everybody that has lost loved ones to cancer know that it's basically 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So things get worse and little bit gets better, and things get worse and a little bit gets better. But it is moving in one direction. And it is like that with life. We, every single moment, are experiencing death. We have the person you were when you clicked on this video is not the same person that you are right now. Just having this conversation changed everything. Now this is becoming part of your new causes and conditions, which means that the person you were 10 minutes ago is dead. That person is no longer here and will never ever come back. So if we really notice the moment, we also notice the impermanence of everything, that there's nothing that is permanent. Now obviously I can spend a lot of time right now to talk about the 7th fetter, something out of nothing, and talk about the delusion of time, but I would prefer if you just go to the 7th fetter. If you have thoughts or questions about that, I'm sure they will be answered in the video. Instead I would like to talk about a bit more about how you manage grief and how you manage death when you live a life with the awakening and with practical non-duality. What I have felt is, ever since it was very clear that my sister, she would die, and after she died Monday, is a huge feeling of grief, and I feel it in my entire body. The grief and the sadness and the sorrow I feel, it's not so much in my mind. I'm not really thinking about much. I'm more muted. I don't know if you could hear Todd blow his nose in the background. That was another thing. About 4 hours after my sister, she died, I got the cold. I've been snotty. So it's my entire body, and I gave it to Todd. And as a good husband, he just took it. And that's the thing, that my body has been grieving. And that sensation of the body grieving, it's a heaviness. And it's a very, like I said, the thoughts are muted. The sadness and the grief has not been about me at any point. It hasn't been about my sister, really. It's been about her children. And whenever I have started to think about that I miss my sister, I've just allowed myself to feel that. There's nothing wrong with missing. There's nothing wrong with grief. It's not something that needs to end or needs not to be felt. It's a normal emotion. We're so quick to looking for solutions, not to feel certain emotions because we only want to feel other emotions. But you can't censor life like that. Feelings and emotions are fine. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with any of them. The problem is when you start to create stories, but then it's no longer the feeling and emotions. Then it's the stories. So keep pulling your thoughts apart. I have a thought right now about something. What is actually happening right now? Normally it's a sensation in the body that is really difficult to be with. And I can recommend you to look into the 5 stages of grief, because all of them are pointing to us not being present in the moment. So if you just stay in this moment right now, whatever arises in the body is allowed to arise. It does not need to change. Nothing needs to be any different. It is as it is, and it's fine. And whenever you have a thought about it, just let go of the thought. Get back to the now, breathe. Feel your bum in the seat or your feet on the floor. See if you can find the distinction between the seat and the bum or the feet on the floor. Just get back to the now. Whatever is happening in your body is fine. And if sobbing is happening, you're sobbing. If laughing is happening, you're laughing. If anger arises, no, it's just a diversion. Anger is a diversion from something you don't want to feel in your body, so back to the body. What is it that is so difficult just to be with? And if you have a thought about, I don't want to be in a world where my sister is not here. In this moment right now, how do you know that your loved one is not here? You only know that when you're adding thought. There's a thought happening and you're reacting to the thought. Back to this moment. In this moment right now, that person could be alive. My sister could be alive. I would still make this recording. I would still be talking about something. Maybe not grief and my sadness, but I would still be making a video. I wouldn't be talking with her right now. So in this moment right now, my sister is only missing if I'm thinking about it. And creating those stories is where the issue lies. I want to make very clear that I'm not talking about bypassing. I'm not talking about that there are feelings and emotions that you don't want to feel. So you're just saying, that doesn't matter. She's not here anyway right now, so I don't feel anything. It's not what I'm talking about. And it was why I came with the warning in the beginning that you need to have done the curriculum. Or you need to be on the awakening path. To really truly understanding that I'm not talking about bypassing. On the contrary, I want you to feel everything. I want you to connect with your body and be here right now and stay here. This is the only place that is. This is the only reality that you will ever experience. And in this experience that you have right now, in this reality right now, there's a rising in the body. Something you can put a label on and call it grief. That is only a label. And when you allow whatever is arising to be as it is, you will start to notice that beauty that is in that arising. Because it moves and shapes itself all the time. There are not 2 moments in a day that are the same when you're grieving. There's a constant wave changing. There's a constant arising and disappearing. And if you're not attached to any arising, being in a certain way, It's just arising. And if that arising is sobbing, sobbing is happening. There's not a story about why sobbing is happening. There's not a clinging to understanding why now. There's not any removing yourself from what is happening in this moment into a story. You just stay here right now. I would like to say a lot more about it. And I think I'm going to make a death video. I've talked about that multiple times. And I think it's time to make that soon. But when I talk, I keep coughing. You probably noticed that there's lots of cuts in this video. It's because I cough all the time. That is my body reacting to sadness, to talking about this. There's an itching in the throat. Yes, granted, I got the flu. But this is different because it's the way that grief is expressing in my body. So in my body right now, I'm not sleeping. I'm not really eating. I feel muted. I cough a lot. I cry when I cry. And that's just what happens right now. I'm just allowing what is here to be here. I have no wish for anything to change or be any different. I have no thoughts about that what happened with my sister shouldn't have happened. You can't argue with reality. Things are as they are. Whatever is here right now is as it is right now. I hope it's helpful for you to remember that grief is a completely valid experience that we have. It's completely okay. Whatever is arising right now is as it is anyway. Just stay here. Thank you.